Hi everyone. The second part to formulas, polyatomic ions, and writing chemical equations will be about polyatomic ions. So poly comes from the word many, atomic, atoms. So many atoms, different atoms join together to develop a charge to form ions. Okay, the common polyatomic ions we have to know is your hydroxide, nitrate, sulfate, carbonate, and ammonium. So these 5 ions are very important and you will be needing it all the way from your lower sec all the way through upper sec, and if you go to JC you will need it in your junior college as well. Okay, so let's look at individual one of them. First of all, we have your hydroxide. Okay, so hydroxide comes from the word oxide. Oxide comes from the element oxygen. IDE means the ions of the element. So ions of oxygen is O2 minus. And then hydro comes from hydrogen. Okay, next time you all will learn under acid base that hydrogen always forms a charge of H plus. Okay, so hydroxide, when you are trying to form this polyatomic ion, this is about combining your H plus with your O2 minus. So 1 plus and 2 minus, overall charge will be minus, and then just joining up the two elements, you will have your OH minus. Okay, next one we have your nitrate. So nitrate comes from the element nitrogen, and then ATE means oxygen is added to nitrogen. So question is how many oxygen is added to it? In this case is 3. 3 oxygen added to 1 nitrogen, it develops a charge of minus. How do you know 3 oxygen is added to 1 nitrogen? This one, no easy way out other than to memorize. Okay, so nitrate is your NO3 minus. The next one we have your sulfate. Okay, sulfate comes from the element sulfur, and then ATE oxygen is added to it. In this case, we have 4 oxygen added to your sulfur, and then this compound develops a charge of 2 minus. Next one, we have your carbonate. Okay, carbonate is carbon added to 3 oxygen. The whole thing develops a charge of 2 minus. Every time when moving forward, when you're writing chemical equations, when you see carbonate, always think of CO2, your carbon dioxide gas forming. Okay, last but not least, we have the ammonium. So ammonium comes from this colorless, pungent gas. Pungent means it's very, very smelly. Okay, this colorless pungent gas is your NH3, which is the ammonia. So this gas is found in our waste products such as urine. Okay, when you go to the lab, your teacher will ask you to test for this gas. Once you smell this gas, you will not be able to forget it. So every time when you see ammonium, think of your ammonia forming. So ammonium is 1 nitrogen. Okay, 1 nitrogen added to 4 hydrogen, and the overall compound develops a charge of plus. Okay, so these 5 polyatomic ions you'll be using a lot throughout your 4 years in secondary school, and if you go to JC all the way to your JC. So the earlier we memorize it, the better. Okay, these corresponding polyatomic ions actually gives us the corresponding acid. Nitric acid, sulfuric acid, phosphoric acid, carbonic acid. Okay, these acids we will learn it in the next chapter, which is your acid and bases. Okay, for IP level, we have what we call the ITE, the nitrite. Okay, nitrite, in this case, there's no difference from your ATE, except that there's 1 oxygen less. Okay, 1 oxygen less than your ATE is what we call the nitrite. Okay, good to know. And then the charge of these polyatomic ions will be the same. So for example, if you have nitrate, ATE, memory word is NO3 minus when you see the nitrite. ITE, this is NO2 minus, just one oxygen less than the ATE. And then there's also another one, of course, is your NITR IDE. IDE is the ion of nitrogen, so it's N3 minus. Be very sure to differentiate these three ions, okay? Okay, and then under IP, we have an example over here, which is what we call the chlorate. So chlorate, the name chlorate, same thing, this one is element chlorine, and then ATE is oxygen added to chlorine. In this case, we have 3 oxygen atoms added to 1 chlorine atom. Overall, they develop a charge of minus. Okay, and then the next one, we have your chloride. So this one is 1 oxygen less, which is 2. And then we have what we call the hypochlorite. So hypo means 1 oxygen less. Hypo, this is 1 oxygen less. Then the ITE. Okay, and then we have what we call the perchlorate. Perchlorate is 1 oxygen more than the ATE. Okay, generally speaking, all this you don't have to memorize the formulas. These are exposure, usually in terms of questions. The question will give you the formula, or otherwise you have to deduce it out on your own based on the information that they give. When we try some examples, we will take a look at it. Okay, so the checkpoint below over here, this is writing your polyatomic ions and the compounds that they form. So the same as your ionic compounds previously, we do the same thing. Okay, so for example, magnesium hydroxide, write the charge of your ions. Magnesium Mg2+. Get from your periodic table, magnesium is under group 2. Hydroxide is in this memory table that we have to remember, which is your OH minus. So when you write your formula, you need 2 hydroxide ions to balance out the Mg2+. So we write the formula as Mg bracket OH2. Okay, when you put the bracket, means there's 2 oxygen and 2 hydrogen, 2 times of your hydroxide to balance out the magnesium ions. Okay, let's try another example. For example, we have your aluminium carbonate. So aluminium Al3+, carbonate is in the table that you have to memorize, CO3 2-. So when you write the formula Al3+, CO3 2-, do the cross multiplication method as well. So bring your 2 down, okay? And then you bring your 3 down, this 3 put a bracket. So you need 3 times of your CO3 2- to balance out 2 times of the Al3+. This is your formula Al2 CO3 3. Okay, and then if we look at the transition metals, for example, over here we have your iron 3 sulfate. Okay, iron 3, remember Roman numeral 3, so Fe3+. Sulfate is in the memory table, SO4 2-. So your formula Fe3+, SO4 2-, bring down the alphabet, okay, and then do the cross method. You need 3 times of your sulfate ions, put the bracket, okay, so Fe2 SO4 3. Okay, so please try the checkpoints on your own. For the IP ones, please try all the checkpoints, and then we will go through it together.